Here's an example in which we're trying to find the sine of 13 pi over 12 and the cosine of 13 pi over 12. The first thing to do is to plug in pi as 180 degrees for pi. Let's change it to a degree angle. So 13 times 180 degrees over 12. Use your calculator, hit the buttons, you'll get 195 degrees. So what they're really asking us then is to find the sine of 195 degrees and the cosine of 195 degrees. So how do we do it? And they want an exact answer, meaning no decimals that are rounded. Right? We cannot give them a rounded decimal answer. Right? You can hit the buttons on your calculator to find the sine in 195. You get some decimal that goes forever. And because the decimal goes forever, you'd have to round it, and as soon as you round it, it's no longer exact. So when they say exact, that we can't use our calculator basically, because all the calculator gives us is decimals and we have to round them because the decimal goes forever. So can't do that. What do we do then? Well, we go to the unit circle. That's how we get exact values, off the unit circle. Let's go find out 195 degrees. Problem is it's not there, right? Here's 180. Here's 210. 195 should be between them. It ain't there. So what are we going to do? 195 degrees. We can't use our calculator because that'll give us a decimal forever. We'd have to round it, and that's not exact. How are we going to find the exact answer of sine and cosine of 195 when it's not on the unit circle and we can't use our calculator? Well, the trick is we've got to take the 195 degrees and multiply it by 2. And if you do, you'll get 390 degrees, which is on the unit circle at 30 degrees. Right? Because 390 is all the way around 360 plus 30, isn't it? Let's go find it. So in other words, if you start here at 0 degrees, you go all the way around, you know that's 360, and you go 30 more plus 30, this must be 390 degrees, because all the way around in 30 more, it's the same as 30, really. And so we can find the cosine and the sine of 390 degrees from the unit circle exact values. Okay, great, yeah, but that's not my angle. My angle is 195. Right, so we can use the half angle formula. Do you realize? In other words, let's do it now. So the sine of 195 degrees is really the sine of 390 over 2, right? If you divide 390 by 2, you get 195. How do I know? Well, because I doubled 195 and got 390. So if you cut 390 in half, you'd get 195. You can check it on your calculator. Okay, great. Yeah, so what? Well, we have a formula for that. We have an exact formula that if you go to the formula sheet down here, and half angle formula right here, the sine of x over 2 is plus or minus the square root of 1 minus the cosine of that same angle all over 2. Let's go write that down. So it says at the sine of x over 2 is plus or minus the square root of 1 minus the cosine of x all over 2, like that. That's what that half angle formula says. So notice that the 390 is the x in the formula, right? That's what you have to do in math and science. You match up the pattern. So notice that the 390 on the top is the x. So if the 390 is x there, it's also x there. So the sine of 195 degrees is gonna, it was kind of scribbly, huh? Is gonna equal plus or minus the square root of 1 minus the cosine of 390 all over 2. Right? I just put the 390 in right there, according to the formula. And that is plus or minus the square root of 1 minus, now can I get the cosine of 390? Yeah, Go to the unit circle. 390. Cosine, root 3 over 2. Here it is. All over 2. Look at that. All right. Now, fractions over fractions. We have this all the time. You need to know how to deal with it if you want to go higher in math. You multiply all the terms, top and bottom, by the LCD over 1. The LCD is 1 of each type of item under a small bar. So here we have a small bar. So not talking about this major bar. Talking about the small bar. There's the item under the small bar. The only item under the only small bar, the 2. So that's my LCD. So I'm going to multiply by 2 over 1, 2 over 1, and don't forget this guy, 2 over 1. That's how you handle fractions over fractions. You multiply top and bottom by LCD over 1. Okay, so what does that give us? Plus or minus the square root. 2 over 1 here is just 2, minus. Here they cancel, root 3. Here, 2 times 2 is 4. There's our answer, except we got to do about the plus or minus. Got to figure out what that is. So this is, let's go back. This is sine of 195 degrees, right? That's what it's been all along. That's what we've been trying to figure out. Is it plus or minus? Why is there a plus and a minus in the formula? That's weird. Which one is it? Well, it's because it depends which quadrant you're in. Let's draw the little quadrant situation. Oops, that wasn't so straight. What was it? Let's draw the little quadrant situation. And remember how this goes. So we are talking about... Whoops, get the wrong pin thing here. All students take calculus. Remember how the signs are? So where's 195 degrees? This is 180 here. This is 0, 90, 270. So 195 is about right here. It's in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, tangent is positive. Tangent and cotan are positive. The other 4 are negative. So in the third quadrant, where 195 degrees, our angle lies. Tangent, that's the tangent and cotangent are positive, but the other 4 are negative. So sine must be negative. So the answer here is negative square root of 2 minus root 3 all over 4. You can give the answer that way, or you can also let the square root go to the top, and the bottom, the square root of 4 on the bottom is just 2. Maybe I should do that more slowly for you. See what I did there? Here, let me be even more clear. So this square root, which was over the whole thing, went top and bottom. Now on the top, it just kind of stays there, can't do anything. But the root of 4 on the bottom is just plain 2, isn't it? So there is our answer, just like that. And this minus sign, you should be clear, this minus sign is in the middle front. You know, it's not, here we go, like that. It's not on the top or the bottom, it's in the middle front. So there we go. There's the sine of 195 degrees. Exact value. No decimals rounded. We got it off the unit circle, but we did it with a trick. 195 wasn't there, so we doubled it, got 390. And used the half angle formula. 195 is half of 390, so we used this half angle formula. Now let's do the other one. They also want us to find the cosine of 195. That won't be much different. It's pretty much the same thing. So the cosine of, what is it, 195 of 195. Again, we're going to use the half angle formula. It's the cosine of 390 over 2. We do that because 390 is on the unit circle, whereas 195 is not, so we have to. All right, so what's the cosine of x over 2 formula says? Well, if you go look on the formula sheet down here, cosine of x over 2, down here it is. Plus or minus the square root. It's almost the same thing. Only difference is a plus there and a minus there. go to it. Okay, so this is plus or minus square root of 1 plus the cosine of x all over 2. So the 390 is the x, right? So this becomes plus or minus the square root of 1 plus the cos of 390 all over 2. You see that? So now we can go get the cos 390. We already did that before. Cos 390, 390 is right here. Cosine's root 3 over 2, like it was a minute ago. 1 plus square root of 3 over 2 all over 2. You know the drill. Multiply top and bottom by 2 over 1. All the terms, top and bottom. Plus or minus square root of 2 plus, these guys cancel, root 3 over 4. It's the same thing as the other. Is it plus or minus? Well, it's cosine of 195. 195, that's, again, that's this quadrant. All students take calculus. So only tangent is positive. Cosine and sine are negative. So it's going to be negative. So it's going to be negative. And then take this square root here to the top separately and the bottom separately. And then leave that negative in the front. That square root stays on the top, but the bottom, square root of 4 is just 2, isn't it? So there we go. We simplified that. That is the cosine of 195 degrees, the exact value. And up here we got the sine of 195 degrees, the exact value. We did it all by changing the radian angles into degrees, and then 195 was not on the unit circle, so we doubled it. 390 is on the unit circle. Then we use the half angle formula for sine, and we use the half angle formula for cosine. Down here, and then we cleaned it up. So there.